Hey everybody, welcome back. We're back with another math video, and it has been a while since I've recorded. I was actually dealing with a tooth situation for the last few weeks and getting a root canal, all that kind of stuff to try to get that fixed. So very, very painful to try to talk, much less record videos. So I've taken some time off to kind of get that situated. Still a work in progress, but we're getting there. Today though, I'm feeling good enough. We're going to start recording again. We're going to add more and more videos to the channel. Today what we're going to be talking about is extra and missing information. Okay, what do we do when we have too much information? What do we do when we have or don't have enough information? So we're going to jump right in with that. First off though, if by the end of this video you feel like you have learned something, if you feel like this video was helpful at all, feel free. I would truly appreciate it if you would drop a like, drop a comment, let me know if this helped you at all. And do feel free to hit that subscribe button as well. That way you will be notified in the future when I upload any new material. So keep that in mind as you're watching. But we've got extra and missing information today. Okay. Now, first point here, some problems are going to give you too much information. They're going to give you more than what you need, and they are going to intentionally give you more than what you need. A lot of tests that you're going to see, especially standardized tests here in Minnesota, we have the MCAs, the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessments tests. They are going to intentionally give you too much information because they want to see if you can pick out the important stuff and separate that from the not so important stuff. Okay, the stuff that's not relevant, that doesn't have anything to do with the problem and the question that you're being asked. So they are going to intentionally do that. Okay. Other questions are not going to give you enough information. And because of that, you are not going to be able to solve that problem that they want you to solve. And we need to know exactly when those situations arise too. Okay. We need to know exactly when we cannot solve a problem and what we're missing from that problem. So how do we know if there's too much information? How do we know if there's not enough information? Here are some questions that I want you to ask yourself. And number one, what do I know? Okay, after reading the problem, it's mainly going to be a word problem a lot of the time, but sometimes there will be other types of problems. But what do you know? Okay, what have I learned from this problem? What information did they give me? Number two, what am I being asked? Okay, what do they want me to figure out? What's the question they're asking me? And that's going to help big time with these last 2 points. Does any of this information that they have given me not help me solve that problem? Okay, looking back at this one, that question they're asking me, does any of the information that they gave me not have anything to do with the question they're asking? Okay, and if so, what don't I need to worry about? Literally, what can I go through in that problem and cross out because I don't even need to worry about it at all. Okay. And then maybe we kind of read through and it seems like we're missing something. That's the last one. Can I solve that problem with the information that they gave me? That's a very good question. We got to figure that out. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have some multiple choice problems with some word problems. Now we're just going to try to figure out if we can solve these problems, if they gave us too much information, if they didn't give us enough information, or if we do have just the right amount of information to answer these questions. So number one right here. Okay. They just want us to choose the correct answer. Okay, we're going to pick one of the right letters from each one of these. But the first, most important thing is this guy right up here. Okay, all of that stuff. Everything that we either need to know or don't need to know, in some cases, is going to be in this one little set of sentences, okay, for these first couple questions. So, Flight 81 leaves Salt Lake City at 2:55 p.m. and arrives in Phoenix at 4:30 p.m. Flight 62 from Salt Lake City, which is sold out, arrives in Phoenix at 3:45 p.m. Which flight is faster? All right. So they gave us a lot of information. They threw a lot of numbers at us. We need to sift through that now and figure out, okay, what do we know? What do we need to know? And what have they given us? Okay, that may or may not fit into this problem. Okay, so Flight 81. We know we have a Flight 81 We know that it leaves Salt Lake City at a certain time and it arrives in Phoenix at a certain time. Okay, so far so good. We have our flight. We know what time it left. We know what time it got to where it was going. We have another flight, Flight 62, also left from Salt Lake City. It's sold out and it arrived in Phoenix at 3:45. So which flight is faster? Okay, so that's the question they're asking. Which flight is faster? That's our question that we need to ask. So, which of the following statements is false? Let's figure that one out. Statement A. Flight 81 takes less than 2 hours. Well, let's take a look at that. Flight 81. Left at 2:55, arrived at 4:30. Well, 1 hour would be 3:55. 2 hours would be 4:55. Well, it sounds like it did take less than 2 hours, so we know it's not A. B. Flight 62 arrives in Phoenix after Flight 81 does. It looks like Flight 81 arrived in Phoenix at 4:30, and Flight 62 arrived in Phoenix at 3:45. Ooh. So, looks like Flight 62 actually arrived before Flight 81 did. Let's check the other ones just to make sure, though. Number C, Flight 62, or number C, wow, letter C. Flight 62 is sold out. Flight 62, sold out. Okay, so they told us that. We know that's true. And letter D, Flight 81 arrives in Phoenix before 5 o'clock p.m. Well, it arrived at 4:30. That is before 5 o'clock. So we know that it is letter B, or number B, whichever one you prefer, I guess. Number 2, what information is missing? So, in this little paragraph, and I'll try to keep everything right in that same shot for us. Okay, Flight 81 leaves at 2:55, arrives at 4:30. Flight 62 from Salt Lake City, sold out, arrives in Phoenix. It sounds like something is missing. We are missing a time if we look at those. Flight 81, we have a departure and an arrival. When they leave, when they got there. Flight 62, we know when they got there. We don't know what time they left. Okay, so we know the information about Flight 81. So we know it's not F. We know it's not G. We know what time it leaves Salt Lake City. We know what time it arrives in Phoenix. Flight 62, however, they don't tell us what time it leaves Salt Lake City. They tell us what time it arrives in Salt Lake City. Okay, actually, the time that Flight 62 arrives in Salt Lake City, I think that's a typo, actually. That should be arrives in Phoenix. Let's fix that right away. Phoenix. That should be Phoenix. But the time that it leaves Salt Lake City, we do not know. We know the time it arrives in Phoenix. We do not know what time it arrives in or that it left Salt Lake City. So, it should be letter H in that one. That is some missing information from that one. All right, so those have to do with that question. Okay, with that little scenario. The flights from Salt Lake City to Phoenix. These ones completely unrelated. Okay, number 1, a round-trip first-class ticket from St. Louis to San Diego costs $1,600. A round-trip coach ticket costs $359. The Howards buy 3 tickets. How much do they spend? Now, this is a situation where we need to figure out, okay, what information is missing? That's our goal. Number 1, they tell us a round-trip first-class ticket from St. Louis to San Diego costs $1,600. A round-trip coach ticket costs $359. So we know first class, $1,600, coach, $359. The Howards buy 3 tickets. How much do they spend? So we want to figure out how much money they're spending. That's the question we're being asked. We know our information, but does it seem like maybe there's something that should be there that's not there? Like perhaps which tickets did the Howards buy? Because in order to figure out how much money they spent, we need to figure out which tickets they bought. Did they buy all 3 first-class tickets? Did they buy all 3 coach tickets? Did they buy 2 first class, 1 coach, 2 coach, 1 first class? We don't know. They don't tell us. So what we need to know in that case is how many tickets, or how many of each ticket did they buy. Okay, so we need to know what kind of tickets the Howards purchased. And without knowing that, we cannot solve that problem. Okay. Let's skip down to number 3. I think number 3 will be our last one. Let's find out if we have enough information, and if not, what do we need to figure out? Okay, what are we missing? So, number 3, a bus leaves the terminal at 6:10 p.m. It makes its first stop at 6:30 p.m. and its second stop at 6:55 p.m. When will the bus arrive at its third stop? That's a good question. How do we figure that out? Because we don't even know where the third stop is. We don't know how far away the third stop is. Now, we could guess, but it's not going to tell us exactly what the answer is. Okay? Took him 20 minutes to get to the first stop. Took him another 25 minutes to get to the second stop. We don't know where the third stop is. So we need to know that was a horrible K. That one's better. And we need to know how far away the third stop is from the second stop. Okay. So if you would like, I'm going to try to get both of those in the frame right there. Okay, both of those, number 2 and number 4, those are good opportunities for you to practice. Take a look at those problems and see if there's any missing information, if there's too much information, or if there just happens to be just the right amount of information. Okay, but that's where we're going to wrap this one up. So I'm going to give you a second to pause if you want to take a look at those before I do wrap things up here. All right. So, the important things, okay, when you are trying to figure out if there's any extra or missing information, okay, figure out, what do I know? After reading the whole thing, what do I know? What am I being asked to figure out? Does any of the information, that they gave me not help me at all? Is there anything that seems like it doesn't really fit with the rest of the information? And am I able to solve the problem or the question that they have posed to me with that information that they gave me? If not, what do I need to figure out? And if I do have enough information, let's figure it out. And any extra stuff, just ignore. Like I said earlier, cross it off. If it seems like information that does not fit, cross off that information, like down here. In this entire paragraph right here, all of this information they gave me, this does not seem like it's something that really fits. Okay, they ask a question about it down here, but does it really have any bearing at all on the problem? Doesn't matter whether it's sold out or not, whether or on what time it gets there. Okay. Does Flight 62 get to Phoenix at 3:45? Or does he get to Phoenix, I should say, at a different time if it's not sold out? We don't know. Doesn't really have any effect on it at all. Okay, we don't need to know that the planes are sold out. We need to know what time they leave their original spot and what time they arrive in their destination. Whether or not it's sold out doesn't really have any impact on the problem we're trying to solve. So cross out the information you don't need. If that's going to help you, do that. Get rid of the stuff that you do not need. Because if it's going to make it less confusing, you need to do it. Whatever's going to make it easier to answer that question and to solve that problem that they're asking you. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, keep all of that in mind moving forward. Thank you for watching this video. Like I said, I hope you picked up something new in this video. I hope this helps. Drop a like, drop a comment if it did help, and do subscribe if you want to let or be notified, I guess is the best word, of when I do upload more videos in the future. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. And until next time, take care.